Welcome to the American Dream. We've got Lisa Nguyen, a broker associate of RE/MAX Professionals, here in studio with us from Denver. Lisa, thank you so much for being here.
No, thank you for having me. Really excited to be able to come out to San Diego and visit the studio.
Yeah, so tell us, how's Denver right now?
Denver is poppin' right now. Obviously we were the first in the country to legalize cannabis, so the industry has brought a ton of different changes to the state. A lot of people are moving there, so the infrastructure of our state is changing every day in regards to highways and just people building. And we have a lot of major companies that have purchased out in Denver, and the real estate is continuing, the prices are continuing to increase, but so many different changes. I am a native, and it's, I guess, good to see all the good and bad that's going on within the state. But yeah, Denver is booming right now.
So you're born or grew up in Denver, you're saying?
Yep, born and raised native. My parents were actually immigrants from Vietnam. My dad was a soldier with Americans in the Vietnam War, and so that's what landed us in the United States. But I was born in Denver. I've been there ever since. I am a native. I don't ever plan on leaving Colorado. I love it. I love it there.
I know you kind of have a niche that you've been working with in particular. Why don't you tell us kind of about that and how that's playing into you working in Denver and almost on an international scale as well?
Yeah, so I speak Vietnamese fluently, and that's kind of where everything stemmed from. At one point, I did a calculation one day just to see how much of the Asian market was actually my business, and it was 80%, and it's probably grown even more since then. I am actually starting the first international team for RE/MAX Professionals in my company, and what that is going to entail is just servicing, investors from Asia, and also I feel like being a resource to other agents that are not Asian. I mean, people come to me all the time about feng shui issues, or they have questions about the culture, and I hope to, when my team gets going, I hope for us to be a resource for other agents to even refer if they have somebody that can't speak the language and they're not sure how to navigate through the deal. So that's kind of the end vision. But I work largely with the Asian community in Colorado, and it's been a huge part of my niche. I feel very blessed to be able to speak the language of others, and I think that definitely helps in the real estate transaction when you're able to speak in the native languages of the people that you're working with. And so that's kind of how it started, and that's what my whole entire brand has evolved into, just organically.
How do you find building a brand really helps you and is important in that changing marketplace?
Well, I think being born and raised and being a native, I know what the name of the neighborhoods were before they were renamed. I know what specific malls were there before they broke it down and built communities. And having that back end knowledge of being a native, that's key. I mean, in one of the magazines I was just in, they asked me to highlight, what were the 3 things that we should watch for in Denver? And having that knowledge, I was able to kind of identify, number one, the way that the cannabis industry is affecting commercial as well as residential real estate. Since we were the first to be legal, we're also the first to start figuring out the problems involved with it. Meaning, when people are growing in their basements, there's mold and structural issues that are now just about coming out years later. But also seeing the benefits of it as far as taxes, and what we've been able to do with that industry in a positive way. As long as I've done real estate, I've never seen eminent domain. So right now in Colorado, we have so many people moving there that our highways, we can't even support the infrastructure right now. And so there's a huge $1 billion, it's called the I-70 expansion, where they're having to add a couple lanes onto the most major highway. But the sad part of this, to me personally, is there was about 50 or 60 homes along the highway that they need to do this expansion. And so what about those families that have grown up in, it's called Rhino now, that neighborhood, but before, when I was growing up, I know at Swansea and Globeville, and so everybody's very excited, everybody's talking about the good part, but I want to be the one that addresses, the the part behind the scenes that people aren't seeing, like these families losing their houses, getting market value, and the market value that maybe they're getting isn't even enough to go out and buy something else because the prices have risen so much. I mean, I work with people across the board, so I have people that are just getting out of housing, and then I have my, my $1 million investors, but I'm that agent, for all. I want to serve everybody for all, but that's where kind of I feel like I need to be the voice for families like that, for affordable housing, for a community of people that maybe don't qualify for loans as easily as other people would that are, have a little bit more privilege in their lives. So
I think what's great about that is you've seen how things have changed in the past, and you can use that knowledge to kind of foresee how things will follow that trend and change in the future. So for instance, you can say, this neighborhood might be good to buy in right now or to sell in right now, but with your knowledge, you can kind of foresee, okay, maybe in 10 years from now, as this infrastructure is changing, that might not be the best thing. And you can help guide people with that information. So that's really, beneficial for the people you're working with. I know you said you're on a couple boards as well.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
So I am the incoming vice president for ARIA. So ARIA is the Asian Real Estate Association of America. It's the largest nonprofit Asian organization in all of North America, and they also have a global sector as well. There's 39 different chapters, so I was very excited to be able to start the Denver chapter there. And we're doing a bunch of great work as far as education about how to work with the Asian community. We have feng shui classes, we have how to work with a foreign investor. We're teaching people about FERPTA, which a lot of agents maybe do or don't know, but I've brought this up before, whether or not you work with the Asian community, at some point you may be having a foreign investor on the other side. And so it's good to have this knowledge as far as tax implications that could come about from it. And not having that education could easily put you in a position where your buyer or seller is being taxed because you didn't identify that the other person on the other end of the transaction was a person of foreign descent. And so ARIA is one board that I'm on. I also am on the Asian Chamber of Commerce. I don't sit on that board, but I'm a member of that. I also sit on the School Advisory Council at Notre Dame. That's where my children go to school. And I have a special place in my heart for anything involving children and education. And that's actually how I ended up getting on this show. Is I was talking to somebody who owned a title company and was telling him about my end vision of why I want to go into real estate and start this international team. But the end result is, philanthropy work that I plan to do. And I'll just wait until that comes to fruition before I talk too much about that. But my end goal is children education and, using real estate as a means to have that, to help out others.
Well, I feel like we could talk about this all day.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah.
It's been great, and obviously we'll have you on the show much more, so we appreciate it, and we're looking forward to having you on the show again.
I'm excited to be on the show as well. I think it's going to be a great journey. I can't wait to share my story.
We'll be right back with more of The American Dream.